So really quick before we get into this video, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz. It really helps with the channel and I really appreciate it. So, a champion roadmap was released today, and as an AD carry player, since they talked about an AD carry, I feel like it's appropriate to talk about this. And I'll go over the post. What I'm going to do is read the post, and then we're going to talk about it a bit more afterwards. So, it's 2018, which means another year of new champions and VGUs has begun. I thought now would be a great time to talk about some of the champion team's plans for the year. Let's skip the long intro and get right into what y'all came here for. Sweet, sweet champion teasers. Suiting up a new marksman. To start things off, let's talk about a new champ we have in the works. Looking back at the last few marksmen released, we discovered something that's been null in our roster for a long time. A super high risk, high reward marksman in the vein of, well, VAYNE. Well played, Riot, well played. With that in mind, we locked onto a marksman that rewards players who aren't afraid to hunt for the perfect opportunity no matter where it takes them, like the enemy's fountain. Oh, that's gonna be fantastic. This new champion's best players will go deep into enemy territory and feed, but they say thrive, while the weak players will perish, never to be heard from again. So, we'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm going to continue reading the post all the way through first, and then we'll talk about section by section. So then, peace isn't always the answer. Sometimes violence is necessary, which brings me to our next topic, Irelia. When we started Aurelia's rework, our main goal was to transform her into a master of levitating blades that her theme implies. She would be surging into the thick of battle, where she can pierce the shields of her enemies before cutting them down in a flurry of dancing blades. Like I mentioned before, we're keeping her current Q, Blade Surge, as we believe it's a great ability that's core to Irelia, and we'll even be spicing it up, giving her more reset opportunities. The rest of her kit is going to be going through pretty big changes to help her realize her theme. We still want her to maintain strength against ranged champions, and we want her to be able to fight at relatively long range for a fighter, poking at her enemies with 1,000 tiny cuts before surging in for a kill. That seems accurate for a melee champion to do a bunch of ranged stuff, sure. As a war heroine, Irelia also needs some tools to initiate a fight, does she really though, and signals that her teammates that negotiations have failed and it's time to fight back. Get ready to surge into battle with Irelia later this year. Well, okay. Okay. There will be blood. Next, let's talk about the Darkened Blade, Aatrox. Aatrox, our good old boy Aatrox. As previously noted, Aatrox changes will be the largest pure gameplay update we've ever done, and it's taken us a bit longer than we originally predicted. We think that Aatrox really is holistically living up to his Darkened Warlord theme, or isn't holistically living up to his Darkened Warlord theme, and needs to be rethought from the ground up. After many iterations and a lot of experiments, we finally settled on a design direction we're happy with. Bloodthirsty, great sword-wielding Warlord. We want Aatrox's attacks and abilities to feel very heavy and powerful while still maintaining the duelist nature of a sword master. And he's definitely gonna have a giant darkened sword that feeds on the death and destruction of all of humanity. You know, typical darkened stuff. And then, shrouded in mystery. Now let's move on to the next big VGU we'll be stepping out of the shroud, Akali. Akali has always been a beloved champion, but she hasn't aged particularly well. Her assassin pattern is very all or nothing, so it can be very difficult for her to succeed unless she snowballs off early kills. We want to give her more options for success by playing up her ability to hide in plain sight. We think her Shroud is an awesome and iconic ability and want to push it even further, with voice cracks included. Akali also has trouble laning against a large portion of modern League cast. Go figure, when a lot of champions get reworks and visuals and like new champions with mechanics and stuff, it kind of makes a lot of older champions outdated that much faster. Who would have thought? So we'll be looking at to give her a stronger laning pattern that should bring her more in line with the current needs of solo lane champions. This will allow us to reduce her snowball potential, as we won't have to be as dependent on early kills to succeed. Overall, we are pretty satisfied with Akali's high-level theme as a ninja assassin, but the current execution is a bit generic. We'll be looking to add a couple more unique traits to Akali to evaluate her beyond this common theme. As for her narrative, we want to go with an approach similar to the one we took with the Gangplank VGU, meaning we want to extend on our narrative rather than rework it. Instead of a new Akali, this will be a tale of growth and change. That's it for today. It's still a bit early to talk about the VGU for Akali, but let's just say that it has been getting a bit chilly for the champion team lately. And then finally, of course, it was noted that Akali's VGU is being worked on by certainly T, the person that made things like Yasuo, Lista, Zoe. So, okay, first and foremost, let's go over section by section, by also finally noting there is a teaser for Annie, and apparently there's going to be a 6-minute long Annie trailer coming out soon. Obviously, Annie was originally from Zaun before they moved out into like the unknown lands, or not Zaun, but Noxus, I should say. And now that, you know, Swain's coming out and probably a lot of Noxus lore is about to be dropped, not too surprising that Annie lore is going to be dropped with it, since that's where she's originally from. Now, going over this post, section by section, I'll start with the marksman, right? It seems like it's going to reward this kind of champion what it's going to be. Maybe not even a typical laning champion, something that wants to go and like roam a bit. A roaming AD carry. Something that like we only have seen from, let's say, Quinn, and even then, Quinn generally kind of wants to still be in lane for the most part, right? She can roam with her ultimate and stuff, sure, and get like a gank off, but she still wants to be in lane and get CS. Maybe this kind of champion wants to do something more like Bard. They want to go around and collect certain things because it empowers certain parts of their kits in terms of either damage or utility, something like that. They want to be able to go steal enemy jungler camps. Maybe even though it's a marksman, it's not necessarily an AD carry, so it was never going to go bottom lane anyway. It's a marksman, but it goes mid lane, or it goes somewhere else, right? Furthermore, as we mentioned in a past video, a couple past videos now, earlier this week, Riot mentioned that for the mid-season update, they want to make it so marksmen don't have to be in the bot lane. They want to make it so other things can go in the bot lane, so this champion might be a prototype of the kind of things they want to put down in the bottom lane as well, beyond just AD carries. And if you don't know about that, I'll link that at the end of this video at the end of screen annotation. When it comes to the Irelia rework, if you will, I'm not hopeful because I really haven't liked most of the reworks that they've done. I felt like, and as I kind of mentioned in a little bit, so many champions that get reworked, the visual updates, and new champions that come out, I feel like they have some sort of gimmick or mechanic that, while it keeps the game fresh, it also makes it so that older champions slowly get outdated because they just don't have a gimmick. So with Irelia, I feel like she's about to get maybe a gimmick or something that might be painful to play against. It might be good for Irelia, it might make Irelia players feel good, it might feel really good to play with Irelia on your team, but I'm not too hopeful about what it's going to be like to play against this champion if she's already going to be keeping some of the things like being able to play well against ranged champions and all that stuff. What I will say, however, if she isn't just a walking stat of sticks anymore, then I will consider it a win after all, though. When it comes to our boy Aatrox, the only person I know that plays Aatrox well, or at least well enough that they say they won't need a rework, is probably Skarzart at this point. Honestly, he probably does need it, but honestly, I will be interested to see the direction they go. They say they have a direction that they're going, but when they say bloodthirsty, great swords-wielding warlord, that's kind of what I see as Aatrox is right now, so they're going to have to play that up a lot before we really know what it is and what that means, I guess. And then last but not least, coming to Akali. Akali definitely has probably needed a VGU for a while, as do kind of a lot of champions. This is the year where a lot of champions will be getting more VGUs than champions. If I remember correctly, there's a chance only 3 champions are going to be released in the entire year anyway. One of them we kind of know about is a marksman. We don't know about the other 2 yet, because there's a lot of champions on the roster now that are just getting more and more outdated. They need VGUs, or they've always needed VGUs for a while, and they're kind of just being on the back burner right now. You have things like Morgana, Kayle, Akali, Nunu, Pantheon, maybe even Mordekaiser again. There's just a lot of stuff that still needs work that really hasn't been given a lot of attention and love that now probably will be. This is going to be the year of VGUs more so than anything else. So Akali, Aatrox, all of them, that's not too surprising. And I'm optimal for Akali, or optimal, I'm optimistic, I should say, for Akali, because I do understand the feast and famine thing. I don't like playing against Akali that's very well fed, because it does feel like you do nothing but just lose at that point, but I do understand playing some Akali myself even, that it can be like, hey, you either get off the ground or you don't get off the ground. There is no in between. You have other champions, especially reset champions, but just champions in general, where it's like, if you get bodied, but maybe you are a late game champion, maybe you can turtle for the mid game and then come back in the late game. Akali, not so much. You try and turtle in the mid game, you're probably just getting stomped even more because you can't even turtle all that well, I guess is my point. Some champions, they have a turtling, they have ability to like stall. Some champions don't. Akali's one of them, so she's definitely getting a VGU, and it's kind of exciting. Like I said, as an AD carry player, this marksman, I'm going to be looking at this because it looks interesting. I made the jokes about feeding and all that, but who knows what kind of mechanic they're going to be bringing. I'm going to, like, my prediction is going to be something like Bard, Not necessarily like collecting chimes or something, but maybe that's where they want to hunt and go put themselves in enemy territory and stuff, because there's something they want to collect or do to empower their kit to be able to survive. Maybe it's stealth. I don't know if that's really a great idea, because I don't know if I agree with stealth on ranged champions. At least like Twitch. VAYNE, maybe it makes a bit more sense. Twitch, with your ult that has like 850 range, do you really need stealth to get into position for a long range ability? I don't think so. But anyways, that's all for this video. Let's discuss what we've talked about in this video in the comment section down below. What you liked, what you didn't like, what you're excited for, what you're not excited for. But that's all for this video. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, because I really appreciate that. But I don't know which video will be next, because life be quite a mess. So until next time, take care from the Fire Guy FS. Thank you for watching.